For instance, and we'll talk about this a little later, Scott Schaefer listens to all my videos. He, in fact, as you'll see, you can take a look at his channel. I just looked at it just by chance. Scott Schaefer did a video on Dr. Oz after I did. I did a video exposing Donald Trump's Alex Jones-like dream team of crackpots in his administration. I hammered Dr. Oz, right? Scott Schaefer, you take a look. My video is the same date as Scott Schaefer. Is November 22nd. I'll show you here shortly. Well, it may not be shortly, but keep in mind, I'm 15 hours ahead of Scott Schaefer, time zone-wise. Or more than 15 hours, actually. Okay? You got it? Hey, Scott, how you doing, boy? Why don't you get some more of my ideas and expose Tom Nash? Because you never exposed Tom Nash, Scott. You never exposed Tom Nash. Anyone here think Scott Schaefer exposed Tom Nash? I talked about this before. Scott Schaefer has no real ability to expose anybody related to true fraud. And I'm not just talking about the financial genre. None of these guys do. You have to be an authority in the capital markets if you really want to expose someone that's discussing investments as a fraud. You have to have a good knowledge base. But Scott doesn't have any knowledge base. So what's Scott do when he wants to expose somebody? What's he do when he wants to expose Meet Kevin? He tells everyone that Meet Kevin got arrested for DUI. So he basically attacks Meet Kevin's personal life. Scott, that's called kind of like doxing. You understand? That's not exposing somebody. Why don't you expose his scams? Why don't you expose the fact that Kevin doesn't know what he's talking about? Right? Same thing with Tom Nash. When Scott wanted to so-called expose Tom Nash, what did he do? He tells you how he basically pays for one of these ID checks that tells you, you put in a name, tells you where a guy lives, where he went to school. So fucking what? So Scott ends up telling you that Tom Nash is living in Georgia, which not true. Sorry, Scott, you missed that one. And he tells you that he didn't go to this school, he went to this school. This is evidence that you do have some intelligent people on ScamTube, but it's very small. And of course, most of the people who watch my content regularly and know the deal, I would consider you all of the intelligent crowd. So when I speak of idiots, of course, I'm speaking to the general audience that might come across these videos. So let's take a look at this comment to show you somewhat, when you see comments like this, it gives me hope that, there's some people that watch ScamTube that kind of aren't completely stupid, that kind of see, they have some common sense. Let's take a look at this comment I'm going to show you here. Take a look at this. So this person posted this. This is in response to a video, I think, where this fucking, this clown from the grift crew, the grifting crew, the guys that ally, they have little groups. They need to ally because they're weak. They can't stand on their own. They'll get fucking steamrolled. They get steamrolled anyway, but read this. This video was more about Scott than Tom. I'm not a follower of Scott's. I was hoping he would have addressed the real issues with Tom. His video deletions, stock pumping, changing his channel's narrative multiple times, hiding his identity while claiming a relevant educational background, claiming to have quit his job for YouTube, pushing FTX, trying to sell courses on YouTube growth in the past on Fiverr. His claims to have been a senior financial analyst for Big Four. Scott didn't really touch on any of that. We got a Russia history lesson, some about his family, where he lives, the fact that he was a lawyer, and that his name is Tomer. So basically, Tom, I wasn't hoping Tom would be doxxed, just would be nice to get answers on things that people actually have issues with. The video was basically pointless. You see that? Fact. This is absolutely accurate. But you see, most people are too fucking stupid on YouTube because their brains have been conditioned to go with the flow, whatever the video says. They don't think. You see, the issues with Tom Nash, we're talking about, and this guy, of course, he didn't even address all the other issues like Tom's fake valuation analysis. He doesn't know how to use any of this stuff, but this is a very basic kind of common sense criticism. Anyway, so chart from one of the penny stocks Tom Nash was pumping. We still don't know if he was a paid penny stock promoter, but you can see he doesn't talk about it anymore. Matter of fact, you can see he's removed the video. You can look for it. He was pumping it here around this range of $80 to 140, 150. And last I checked, you can see early of 2004 was $1.20. Okay. And once again, there were dozens and dozens of videos that Tom, folks, all these fake investment gurus have done this. You know that, right? Here he is pumping Peloton at the top. Same as Meet Kevin. Same as Joseph Carlson. All these fucking scammers. Folks, anyone who would fall for Peloton is an idiot. You shouldn't be listening to them. Okay? You should not be. I mean, I knew this from day one. It's pretty obvious. And I mentioned that. I went on record warning everyone, this dog shit would fucking collapse. One of the worst stocks out there from this whole Cathie Wood period of horse shit. Another stock that I warned about when it was like $500-600 is Zoom. I said, it's going to fucking collapse. It basically don't offer a whole lot that hasn't been already offered by Cisco WebEx. Cisco WebEx has been around for more than 15 fucking years. Go to webinar, so on and so forth. And you see that collapse. All these guys were pumping Zoom. They're pumping all this shit. But people forget. And that's the great thing about YouTube. If you want to be a scammer, you can see Tom's little discounted cash flow analysis of Peloton. Complete fraud. Great thing about YouTube, if you're a scammer, is you can hide videos. You can re-edit videos. You can change the titles of videos. You can change your video descriptions. You can delete comments so everyone thinks that you're a genius and you don't open the public up to criticism. And by the way, when you are deleting comments on your channel, that makes you, that places you in a different category. Now you are guilty of fraud. If you're not allowing people to post comments on your channel and you are pitching things and you are shown to be a scammer, you're in deep trouble for deleting comments and blocking people. Because that shows that you are trying to mask the truth. Another penny stock scam. And you can see, I mean, this is Tom, take a look at this. It's funny because I saw this video, Tom was talking about profit margins, right? Folks, you got to understand, Tom Nash is using you people on YouTube to learn about stocks. He's in learning mode. He doesn't know anything. He's trying to learn. He's learning off you fucking idiots. He wasn't talking about no profit margins 2 years ago and 3 years ago. He was telling you 2 years ago and 3 years ago and before that, the P ratios don't matter. He's talking about P ratios now. You got it? Because he's reading some basic investment book and learning about basics. Basics ain't going to help you beat the market. You got it? Take a look. Long-term investment. HYLN, he emphasizes, it's a long-term investment. Great company. Quotation. Tom Nash says HYLN is a great company. Long-term investment. Well, I don't know. Take a look. As of sometime in October, it's crashed down to $2.10. You can look at it now. None of these YouTubers are exposing any of these guys. You know that, right? Every once in a while, these guys will mention someone else. Why? Because they're their competition. They're trying to get clicks. If you're really going after these guys, you're focusing on going after these guys. You're making videos on these guys 2, 3, 4 times a week. You're hammering them. You don't mention them one time to try and get views and clicks. You got it? There's nobody really exposing these guys. And if you think that there is, Show me a channel where someone exposes some of these guys where they're not selling something. What do they have to sell? Right? I'm not selling nothing. Channel's never been monetized, never would be. You understand what I'm saying? Because I'm not a fucking loser. You're a loser if you're going on YouTube trying to pitch your shit. It's for fucking amateur losers and scammers. I'm a top professional. I'm going to go on fucking ScamTube. I don't want dummies. I can't help you fucking dummies. Nobody can help you dummies. But what can happen is that con artists can pretend to help you dummies. They can fool you dummies. You can feel good and think you're doing well. Let's take a look. Remember, Tom was part of this clan of FTX whores. FTX whores and scammers, right? They pitched FTX. They whored for FTX. They put their subscribers, their audience, in harm's way. They took the money from FTX. They didn't care. They took the money and told you to buy FTX. They encouraged you to buy it because they're a paid whore. That's how ad-based content works, folks. That's the ad-based content business model I've been talking about. That's the media business model. Advertisement-based content, which includes people that take endorsements. You got it? You're the fucking victim. You're going to get fucked. You don't pay their fucking bills. You got it?
Go and find somebody who's ever worked in the financial industry, an analyst, somebody who worked in the trading floor, anybody with actual trading or investing experience, anybody from Wall Street that you can get a hold of, and ask them, how do you know that somebody's a clown, a buffoon, and is a fake? If they mention PE, this is exactly what it is. If somebody mentions to you PE, that means they've never worked a day in their life on Wall Street or in any sort of investment capacity, because nobody is using PEs in the industry, literally nobody. And if you hear somebody talk about PEs, that's like an immediate kind of giveaway. You know that they're just, bullshitting. They're not from the industry. It's an irrelevant metric, and you can ask any investment professional, they'll tell you that. The only people who talk about PEs are little boys on the internet who pretend to be value investors. That's how you know they're fucking fake. Simple as that. Just check me on this. The only metric that people in the industry actually use as far as multiples is price to sales. Nobody uses PE. Trust me, it's just nonsense. So we got these scammers out here, the new breed of scammers, and yet there's nothing, no word from the SEC, no word from the FTC, no word from NEC. At this point, I would just give it the FCC. Somebody do something about it. This can't be. I mean, we have this wild, wild west jungle, these YouTubers and social media influencers. Fucking hate these guys. Put some prison terms. Put some people in prison. People who do that, put them in prison for a few years. Put people in prison. Where's the SEC? Put some charges on these motherfuckers.
Keep this in mind. And if you don't know this, I suggest you fucking spend the time to look into it. Easily one of the top investment analysts in the world. I'm probably the best. It's difficult to prove I'm the best, right? But easily one of the best. Ask yourself, somebody in my status, my stature, my realm, who else is going to go out and expose these fucking little minion fraudsters? Who's going to do that? Who's going to do that? Nobody. Nobody else. Okay? Nobody who would be in my realm. You understand? terms of getting back as an investor, if it's coming down to here, almost irrespective of what's going on, I have to believe, if I have to make a call in advance, and of course I can change depending on what happens, but I have to believe this is where you want to start doing that 18, 17, around there. Their earnings report is a complete game changer, at least for quite a while. Bottom line, NVIDIA now is going to enter the realm of Tesla, Apple, and all these other big, I mean, listen, NVIDIA can come down to 150, come down to $100. If you don't think it's possible, then you don't understand how the market works. I mean, listen, NVIDIA can come down to 150, come down to $100. If you don't think it's possible, then you don't understand how the market works.